When algorithms break the law.
Thank you. So, it is a pleasure to be here in Rome, which is the birthplace of legal codification, to discuss arguably one of the most difficult points and challenges in criminal law today: artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is with us, and its use is prolific. We have banks which use AI to determine who gets a loan, insurance companies which use AI to determine risk, online services using AI to dictate what we see. Yet AI, which started off as an assistant to human decision, today increasingly dictates that the same decision. And the question inevitably arises: the more we allow artificial intelligence to take over, the more we allow artificial intelligence to take high-risk decisions for us, accountability decreases. And what happens when AI decides to act autonomously and break the law? Where do we go from there? The problem we face is very, very particular. The first question we need to answer is, what is an AI? Well, broadly speaking, AI is a man-made object intended to act autonomously, to develop, and to evolve. Yet, this autonomous adaptability has an innate issue. Autonomous adaptability is a form of learning. And as we all know, we've all learned something through our lifetime. A being which learns, be it man-made, be it also human, learns in an unpredictable manner. And above all, learning is a process of trial and failure. And you can very well learn the wrong thing. So what happens when AI does learn the wrong thing? What happens when an AI evolves to such a degree that it outsmarts the law, it outsmarts the human, and becomes efficient? It optimizes its objective by breaking the law. And we can give a very clear example of an AI involved in financial transactions. An AI can find a regulatory loophole. It can find a way which humans have not yet devised to become even more efficient and optimized, thereby creating a crime or an offense or an illegality which humans would not have predicted. Who becomes responsible for that infraction? We can say, well, this was a defect by the programmer. Well, if I have created a system which evolves and learns, and if we agree that learning is unpredictable because you might learn the wrong thing, as we had said, it might very well be that this infraction was unforeseeable even for the programmer. So how can I hold the programmer responsible for something which is unforeseeable? We can hold the operator responsible, fine. Yes, but if the operator himself has used the AI as per the instruction, how do I hold the operator responsible? So the fundamental question is, how do we assign responsibility for AI, it being part and parcel of my organization, if it is taking decisions for me and it commits a crime? So let's go back one step. Let's analyze how and why persons are held responsible, because traditionally criminal law has always focused on the person. We hold people responsible, generally speaking, in terms of law, because we understand that people have two innate capacities. A person has a capacity to understand. That is, I understand what I am doing. I know that I am committing a crime. I am stealing. I'm engaging in money laundering. But I also have what we call a volitional capacity. That is the capacity to choose right from wrong. So I can commit a crime or decide not to commit it. Given that you understand what you are doing and you chose to do it, those are the two fundamental blocks as to why you are held responsible. Why do we punish you? Simple. We create a law, we create deterrence with punishment. You should be afraid of us. And yet, you chose to do a wrong thing, and you are unafraid of the consequence of your choice. Therefore, you shall be punished. That is the justification as to why we have a criminal law and why we punish people. But all this cannot apply to AI. Why? AI has absolutely no understanding in the traditional sense. AI does what its codified objective tells it to do. It has no volitional capacity. It is not choosing to be evil, is it? It has no moral compass. It's got an objective, and its volition is one. Become as efficient, as optimized as you can be, thereby learning. So you have a perfect psychopath, if you want, an unempathic being which is learning, which is doing one thing: be efficient at what you do. And the final aspect of this is deterrence. What if I tell an AI, if you commit an offense, you shall be fined or you shall go to jail? This means absolutely nothing to a string of code. It's not afraid. It can't be afraid. So, any way I look at it, today's framework will fail when I come to apply this to an AI. So, can we hold a machine responsible? Well, the notion of e-personhood is still philosophical rather than it is practical. In point of fact, today, everybody still holds people and persons responsible. And largely speaking, we can identify three main actors who are held responsible for AI. First and foremost, you have the concept of defects or negligence in programming. That's where we hold the programmer responsible. That is where we tell the programmer, it is your obligation to make sure that we control outcomes, such that if an outcome is unpredictable and is illegal, you are responsible. The second category is the user, and user comes in two forms. Either there is a malicious intent of the operator to abuse of the system to make it commit a crime, or a hacker who comes in with a malicious intent, rewrites the code, and moves the AI aside. Thirdly, you have lack of supervision, and this affects the company, the organizational structure, namely that there ought to have been supervision of this AI, and this has failed. True, but we still haven't solved a fundamental key issue. What if I can show that the programmer could never have foreseen this AI to produce this result? Because it has learned the wrong way. Because it has found a solution no human could. Because the AI has become more intelligent than the human. The user says, well, I didn't program this. I followed the instructions which the programmer gave me. I did nothing wrong. And the organization says, well, I have a supervisor. I did all I could to help, but the AI took over and did something unpredictable. Where do we go from there? And this we call the liability gap. There's a massive hole in liability for organizations which use AI in the daily operations. Whom will a prosecutor hold responsible in your company when your AI does something untoward. Both the Council of Europe and the EU have tried to address this issue. And we have the first EU Digital Act, the first EU AI Act. Now, in truth, this EU AI Act speaks of civil law and also speaks of safety networks. Nothing about criminal law. Yet, it does one important thing. Any system which is classified to be high risk because the AI is taking high risk decisions needs to be properly documented, logged, and audited. That's good. But it still harps on the traditional notion of liability. Why do we audit, trail, and log it? Because any investigator will home in on the supervisor of that AI. That documentation and the trail will only serve to hold the organization responsible for the misdeeds of the AI. Moving forward, as an operator using AI, what can you do to mitigate your responsibility? This is the fundamental question. Well, there are some things you can do to mitigate responsibility. One, the purpose determined. Every AI has a codified objective. Make sure that as an operator, you use your AI according to the predefined purpose. Do not repurpose an AI because you open yourselves up to liability. Secondly, supervision. Make sure that high-risk decisions are always supervised by a human to make sure that you do not have strange results. Accountability. Log and document what the AI is doing. You need to know as an organization what the AI knew, when the AI knew it, and how it reacted. Explainability, number 4. Until and unless you can explain the output of the AI, you have a massive problem to justify the AI's actions to the regulator. So explainability is very important. And finally, stress test. You need to stress test your AI to cater for the edge cases, for the periphery cases, to see what the AI generates. There is no doubt that today we are speaking of responsible autonomy. Today we have this dichotomy in our system whereby we have intelligent beings taking decisions at a parallel level from the board of governors, yet all the directors remain morally and legally bound by the decisions the AI takes. So we are moving in a situation whereby part of the governance of any organization has to include AI governance. There has to be a supervision of AI which is governing and regulating what the AI is doing. Moving forward, AI is with us to stay. AI will grow. And AI has become a fundamental element in business. It represents progress. It is fast, it is efficient, it is broad, it is impartial. And this is why it is embraced. However, as a fact, AI needs to be controlled. There is no doubt that technologists need to start including ethics and compliance in the coded objective. But above all, we must find a way to ensure that the tremendous power which AI holds remains subservient to the rule of law. Remember, we legislate not for machines, we legislate for human society, which creates AI and uses AI. Thank you.